Hey, what's up, everyone? Thank you so much for tuning to another episode of the Financial Griot, aka TFG. I am one of the co-hosts of 3, Alainta, Alcin. So here at TFG, we just love sharing our stories, introspection, and just hopefully actionable steps to get us to the point where we want to be in our wealth journey. I have no other than Mr. the Financial Griot
actual? It's supposed to be
actual. It is actual. Actionable. You see what we go through. I can never finish an introduction. It's not. It's not. So
struggle with it. Struggle through. Hi everybody. My name is Lawrence Delva Gonzalez. I'm otherwise known as the financial. The neighborhood finance guy. We're gonna have a great time with this podcast.
Okay.
We're gonna have a great time, guys. So I'm gonna give it back to you. Just go back.
So we're just gonna keep it rolling. Yeah. So thank you for tuning into a great episode today, because today we have no other than the fabulous Miss J Stevens, who we met at at FinCon in Orlando, Florida. We had such a great time meeting with her, random meetups with other people. We had a great conversation, and she's here today. Jay actually have her own wealth story she's going to share with us at some point or the other. But for just the beginning, how are you, Jay?
Hey, y'all. Hey, I am doing well. I'm happy to be here because we had such a good time at FinCon. And I said, ooh, these are new friends. And I like this. And it's genuine and natural. And then I mean, neither of us really said anything afterwards.
I sent you a message. We were talking. We were texting.
You were very clean. So we just want to, step away and give you space.
I was like, it's cool. It's cool. I have enough birthday parties to go to right now. So I don't need new friends. It's really not even a big deal. But no, I'm kidding.
She stays at home.
It was mainly me, y'all. So FinCon was the first week in September. We are now in mid-October. I have been traveling every week. I've only been home 4 days during that time. And so I have friends who are friends I've had for years who are just like, so you really must be busy because you just don't care. So I'm glad to finally get some piece of normalcy in my schedule. I know this is all audio, but if you can see the video, there's an entire stack of mail next to me that I'm going to be going through after this to just try to catch up on life. I'm actively doing laundry right now. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, some people are out there going to open a door for Bruno. I'm just going to put it out. That's what she says she's going to do. So I'm speaking on this behalf. But ultimately, we've been having a great time. I guess everybody kind of had to take a step back a week after FinCon, because once you travel, you kind of want to come back to your first world problems. You're going to relax, and then you get back into new first world problems. So where did you go for the last couple weeks? You can share that real quick.
Okay. I almost need to open my calendar to look at it. So right before FinCon, I went to my Lime sister's wedding. Then it was FinCon. I had to leave FinCon early to do a financial presentation because I'm a treasurer or assistant financial secretary for an organization. Then I traveled to the Bay Area. So the presentation, the financial secretary presentation was in DC. Then I went to the Bay Area for a conference for work. Then I think those are the 4 days that I was back in town after that. I feel like that's when that was. And then I went to Atlanta for National Black MBA. I went to DC again for Executive Leadership Council, which is this group for Black executives. And I feel like there was at least 1 or 2 other conferences in there somewhere. And then it's homecoming season. So I'm going to be traveling again for homecoming season soon. And then I serve on a not a nonprofit board, the alumni board for my alma mater. So I'm going to that meeting. And then I'm part of a book club. And I've been the only person who hasn't attended the book club meetings in person. They always open a Zoom link for me. So this time I'm finally going to the book club meeting, and because I'm hosting it this month, and it's going to be fabulous. It's posh. I used the word to describe it as posh, and the whole book club was like, wait a minute, what are you doing? This is out of pocket.
You're coming up real different right now.
Right?
We're different strong.
We're trying to review these books. She's like, nah, everybody needs to be dressed up. Everybody, this color palette. I don't want y'all to come in and messing this up, the vibe.
Yeah, I was setting some high expectations. I mean, I just wanted it to be nice since I finally get to be there and not just a voice on screen. that has to say things like, hey, can you repeat that? I agree with your point. That character was shady.
As long as you don't bring like plastic plates and low vibration food.
Oh no.
Low vibration.
Can we get into that?
Yeah, we got to. We have to. Low vibration.
I was like, or a really good plate. And the way she kept licking her fingers and pointing and putting them in that woman's plate, disrespectful. That's what made it low vibration. You and these neon nails getting licked every few seconds and sticking in our plate. And nothing wrong with neon nails because I wear those too. But just that whole, we want all low vibration plates. It's holiday season. Vibration. I don't want to see the bottom of my plate.
You know what's really funny? I found out recently because she did like almost like a reaction, or somebody did an interview of her kind of explaining it. She
Funky Diva,
this was her actual event. I'm like, so it's your event presenting low vibration food? Like, it's like what? Like, what's going on here? It's like your caterer is bringing this, and you're the one that's establishing this event. So therefore, this low vibration you're talking about, it's all you.
It's one of those things that I always try to tell, especially Black women, to discern when it comes to the events, these empowerment events, or, this person that you always have to look up to, right? Not only she said she wasn't aware of the catering, right? What they're actually bringing in to cook, well, for everyone to eat, but the actual event in itself, the tickets were like crazy amount because it's the entire weekend. Right. And she's I guess, successful coach, marketing guru, whatever you want to call it. But that's where people lead to, that find the answers for who they want to become. However, and good segue, because when we were at FinCom, there was another conference there at the same time. And it's the same thing. I think it's the formula of looking the part in order to kind of allure people, especially that look like us, Black and brown people, to say that, hey, not only am I successful, I look successful, and this is the way you can do it as well. Now, in her message, a low vibration food, I understand what she was trying to say, but the messenger, and how she relayed the message was totally out of bounds, disrespectful, and she was like, embarrassing the woman of how she want to eat her food. There's a way you should talk to someone when it comes to that, and there is a thing of low vibration food. So I understand what she's trying to come across, but the way she delivered it is a no. I don't agree with that.
Bomb barbecue in State Line, El Paso last weekend. So there is no such thing as this low vibration. I understand overall what you're trying to impact upon people is to have a certain level of decorum, right? That's okay to have decorum or etiquette, when you go to an event, so that you're not completely stuffing your face like it's like your own barbecue on your own crib. I could understand that standpoint, but this idea of queenliness and whatever royalty fakeness in their heads, I'm like, stop this thing. It's some tomfoolery out here, because everybody can't be a king and queen. It doesn't make sense, because it's a hierarchy. So if everybody's a king and queen, there is no hierarchy. There's just like, it's not mathematical. It just doesn't work out.
I guess she was trying to say, like, to carry yourself a certain way too. But there is a decorum when you're out, especially as a woman, when you're out, and especially if you're on a date. Because if I'm on a date, typically I'll eat before I go out, number one, and I typically go for the soup or the salad because I already ate. Right? I don't want to stuff in my face.
These ladies not coming in like that no more. They're coming in like high vibration, $100 plates. Let's go. They high vibrations.
I mean that's me, because I don't want to feel like throughout the day, because you may do a walk or do something that feels so heavy. You know what I mean? Like trying to, then what if I have to pass gas or something? I have to go run somewhere and do like that's not etiquette. You just don't do those things. So I have to burp, whatever.
Ladies don't say pass gas on a podcast. I'm just saying. That's low vibration already. But Jay's like, I don't know where to come in on this thing. It's just not good for me and not my image.
There's so many jewels of wisdom and little nuggets there. So I do believe that there's shout out to the etiquette classes I've taken and the lovely instructors for that. There is a way that you present yourself when you're having a meal, when you're going out, and we can talk about dating. We can get there. But in this case, I'm just talking about being at a conference or at a business.
You're talking about
setting.
dating in theory, but I'm just
Yes, in theory, because in practice is another thing. But there's a way to present yourself and to carry yourself that shows you have some social decorum. some, or as blackisms. You have some home training. Your mama or daddy raised you right. The way that I believe that woman's name is Stormy.
Yeah.
Which, okay, no. But the shout out to the Stormies of the world. The way she delivered it spoke more of her lack of class and her lack of home training than it did of that woman. And if you really are a coach, you know the importance of teaching someone in a way that gives them a safe environment to learn. It's not healthy to teach someone, to train someone in a way that pushes them so far over the edge that they don't feel like they can learn, or they feel inadequate, or they feel lesser than. And for whatever reason, this woman seemed to be kind of like in this cult moment, like cult, CULT, that she not only accepted and appreciated this, she was agreeing with it. Like, yeah, I am bad for eating the food that I had to pay all this money for to sit on. And then they were on the side of the pool or something like that. Like, that's not mess. The place.
It was a whole low vibration event. Like that course.
And I was like, maybe because you know, we love a pool party, but not getting into the actual pool. Yeah, it's just not that much. When we were at FinCon, we couldn't find a place to eat, and we ended up eating beside the pool. That meal was a hot mess, and I was like, y'all can keep all of this. But that to me was low vibration. It had nothing to do.
And they tried to charge me twice. They had the nerve to charge me twice by mistake. I was like, oh no, this not happening. I had to call my credit card.
Like the night I think they charged me like $40 or $50 for like half a bowl of rice. $45. It was like a veggie bowl, and they put like 3 little pieces of chicken chunks on it. And I was like, I'm starving. I'm famished.
Yeah, you were mad. You were really mad.
I was
because the gratuitous.
I watched you be really mad while I was eating too. I was like, man, this is messed up. Look at her.
And y'all were all like, you should have just got the fried chicken strips or the chicken wings or whatever. And I said, I didn't want that slow vibration. I didn't want that.
And you was so determined to finish eating. I'm gonna eat this.
Because if I had to pay that much and I was still hungry, it was, I don't know. Yeah. Hey, hangry me is like a Snickers commercial. Like, I'm not me when I'm hungry.
And that's a good point too. Old girl in the video, she probably was really hungry. Like, who to say how long did they not eat in this event? She was probably really hungry, right? So that's
I don't even know if she was really hungry. Just sometimes we just fill up our plate because it's a barbecue. It's like it was the event that it's a barbecue. You fill up your plate, you keep it moving. It's not that serious, but it's just the way that she framed it, even in her response video about this. Oh yeah, these are my multi-million-dollar clients. I'm like, if that's your multi-million-dollar client, why are you be saying stuff like that to her? Like, no. And to your point, you're 100% right. I think she's a very low vibration person pretending to be higher than. I think I don't know if it was probably you, Alainta, that stated it. People are following other people just for their lifestyle. They're not following for actual real information anymore.
Help and stuff.
Like none of that is really sticking. They're following Coach Stormy because she looks like the person they want to be. That's why she started nodding her head like, oh yeah. Like the cult, like whatever she says works. And it's not just her, it's also the guy that she's with. It's also the amount of money she looks like she's flaunting, the places that she's going. This is what people are following. It's not really good information anymore. And that to me is the low vibration. that is truly the low vibration aspect of it all. Because you're not really getting good information, pure information, and you're not getting support from your quote unquote fellow sister. You're getting somebody that's lambasting you, blasting you for no reason at all. You could have even took her to the side, like, you don't need to fill up your plate next time, blah, 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 blah. Ladies, we're going to have an etiquette class. We're going to, this is how much we need to have on our plate. This is why we need to do that, because you never know who you're going to meet. And at events like this, if you are single, I would even say that to my goddaughter. Like, if you're a single girl out here in these streets and you're at the event, keep yourself a little bit like head on a swivel. You never know who's around, so you can have a conversation versus stuffing your face and then walking away fat and happy. And it's like, oh man, I didn't meet nobody.
Because you were busy stuffing your face.
Stuffing your face. Like, it's like, and you're like, hey, to-go plate. You gotta get the to-go plate. Like, like, I didn't meet nobody there. I'm like, well, you could have, but your mind was completely different. So there's something to be said about what's happening there, and maybe even something to be dissected about what we could do better as an entire community. Going to the pool and not getting in the pool is always kind of weird to me.
You look cute. You don't feel like going to the pool unless you have braids.
You don't want to mess up your hair.
You don't want to mess up your hair.
And the makeup.
And then I never understood why you wear makeup at the pool. I don't even do that. That's silly. Well, then again, I try to keep my skin as much clear and beautiful as possible, but I don't get why
The
would you wear
shade, low vibration shade on some people.
Your
They're just
skin
trying to
is low
live.
vibration because of that pimple. I saw it. You need to elevate. You need to use better products.
Drink water,
I know.
drink water,
Yes.
eat better.
Wine,
Yes,
drink
eat
water and
better,
mind
drink
your business.
water.
Yes. Yes.
Nah.
But when we try to break down like this cult following, right? Because we met Jay at FinCon. We were at FinCon just enjoying ourselves and meeting other great content creators in Florida. But within the conference, there was another event happening, the marketing event. And it stems from coming from Stormy and her platform as well, because you have this sort of like lifestyle, appearance that you come across as successful, or what you want to share with people of how you became this level of success. And for some odd reason, you just don't know how, like what actually is, like, we know she's a coach, but we don't know, like, what do you actually do? Like, it's not only coaching, your money is coming from somewhere else too, right? It's like this mystique thing. And we are always trying to place this importance of looking the part without actually doing the work internally in our culture for some reason. And when you see this woman and she's taking all this in, just like, you know what, you're right. And she's not deciding on herself, making her own thoughts, like critically thinking, like, you know what, I don't like how you're approaching me with this. I'm just enjoying my time on this expensive, low vibration event, And it's something to be said too. It's like all of this following and gurgitating information is not only low vibration, but it's also one of those aspects of us getting to the point of we don't even know how to lead ourselves anymore. It's just following, good information or not. Is for the majority of the time is bad information. And I think that is something to be said where there's more Black people at that event than it was at FinCon. It was only, there's it was a good amount of people, right? Black content creators, but it was actually more people at that multi-level marketing event next to us. So there is something to be said in our culture, how we're constantly following low vibration information.
So allow me to opine on that point of view. I've seen why people do that. And it does, and maybe it's because a lot of my clients are Black people. So maybe that's why I would say like, this is the Black perspective on it. But depending on what you saw as wealth and as success growing up, that shapes what you think you need to do to win. And for some of us, this is also part of just systematic intergenerational issues that go on and that were placed within us. There are things that you can be exposed to. Like, there are friends I had when I was in school that they knew they were going to have some great corporate office job because their parents were wealthy. I didn't even know until like, I think my junior year of college, but I was in school with the one of the women who's the heir to the Anheuser-Busch. She was the Bush family. I should have made the connection when her last name was Bush, but I just didn't think about that. But in the same time, in the same token, there are friends I had who they never thought about that. They saw their family members having, and I don't want to say blue collar jobs, like it's something wrong with that, but having careers and jobs where it was kind of like, all right, I'm going to do this one. I'll work at this grocery store, or I will do this cleaning janitorial service. And there's, again, nothing wrong with having those jobs, but those jobs sometimes don't get you to the point of having wealth unless you really know other ways to like invest. So they weren't taught about investing. They're having these jobs where it's kind of like you're going to make ends meet, and that's about it. And as a result, when you see these opportunities, when there's this very strong, aggressive marketing that says you can join this program, it's really easy, it's part-time, you can make all this money, you naturally think this is my way out. And it would be great if there was a way for platforms like ours to speak louder and to get more of the attention. But if you have the option of for 10 hours, and if you post on your Facebook about this group, you can be rich, versus you need to like learn the basics of this is what savings is. This is how you pay off debt. And that's not as sexy. It just changes. So then you also picture like the signs they have. When we walked through the building, I instantly knew, I was like, oh, this is something weird, or not weird, but not my style, because there were pictures of people and everything was covered in diamonds. And I was like, diamonds, when you actually know about it, are not that big of a deal because there's enough diamonds for everyone in the world to have an 8-ounce cup full of diamonds, but it's just the way that they're released. So it's a lot of ways that you can position this in the marketing of it that drew in this crowd. And when I asked them questions, because they cornered us like every 5 minutes, would you like to join my group? When I asked them questions of like, how are you making money? How, like, you keep saying you all of you are leading with the same line of, I was able to quit my job. I'm able to make $50,000 a year doing this or something. But I'm asking you very clear questions. How did you make money? And none of you can answer that. That's disturbing to me. And either you really don't know or you don't know how to articulate it. And either way, I'm not going to put my money over there, but I really do want to help you do something better in your life. I feel like Lawrence is like itching to respond to this.
I wasn't even itching to respond to that. I was more so, maybe some people just don't want this other type of life. Everybody wants the fast life. Everybody wants, in some ways, they don't even want money. They want fame. There's something more intoxicating than money. It is fame. The idea that people will follow you, people who say, hey, I know that person, I know that person. That's what a lot of people are chasing. They're chasing that level of importance. And this is why financial literacy at the base level is not as quote unquote sexy as people pretend it to be or not. It's just something you do. It's like breathing air. Like, just breathe air. It's not supposed to be sexy. You just breathe air. You invest. You're supposed to do a 401k. It's not going to hurt you or it's not going to take away from your life, but it's not something that people want because you can't showcase your 401k to somebody and people kind of like you for that. People want to see you or you think people want to see you in that fancy car. You think people want to see you in that fancy outfit overseas somewhere, taking a photo and saying, hey, this is my life and it's the best thing you ever seen. People, even when we know that a lot of like movie stars, entertainers, or even sports athletes are really broke, majority of them broke. Crazy enough, like they even admit it, like to the point where during the pandemic, I believe Gabrielle Union came out and she said it. A lot of her friends are like, this one paycheck away from being broke. A lot of people was like, hey, if one thing happens into their career, like Tiffany Haddish, something happened recently to her, and she said all her contracts fell out. So now she's broke again. Like just instantaneously, if you're not investing your money, if you're not doing what you need to do with your money, you'll find out really quick that it's just all fame and it's all fluff. And we see that all the time. Like one person that gets a lot of slack or getting more slack online is Jay Morrison. I think he did the whole Black Wall Street.
Is that the real estate one?
Yeah, the Wall Street thing. And at one point, like he came out, they had it was him in some kind of mansion. They zoomed out. People was like, I gotta go put money into this fund. We're gonna build back Black Wall Street. But this guy's a scammer. He repeats multiple times that he went to jail for scamming. He went to jail for doing nefarious things. He went to jail for fraud. I'm like, he tells you what it is, but the people don't care about what you're saying. It's how he looks, the marketing behind it. If he looks like, hey, he had the 3-piece suit, he has the wife next to her in her 3-piece suit, and they're both doing this in their 3-piece suit right there, like in front of a car that they don't even own, that's more important than actual tangible wealth for a lot of people. And this is why somebody like Stormy, who says she's coaches multi-million-dollar people. I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Because those people, multi-million-dollar people don't go to you. Other people, I saw the video of the people that go to you. They're not multi-million-dollar people. Because multi-million-dollar people do not, throw away their money on just random stuff. Like people that are really wealthy value their time more than anything else. So they're not going to waste their time hanging out with you next to a pool because that's just hanging out with you next to a pool. They could have done that at the crib. They don't have to pay $1,500 to see you have a good time with your life and so you could clap for yourself. It makes not a lot of sense. So a lot of times that we're seeing people and they're pretending and they're saying these words, if you're not too hip to that game, you probably fall victim to it too. Because multi-million-dollar people, wealthy people are not going to coach Stormy. They don't go to a person that coached Stormy. Like it's just nobody, I didn't even know who she was. None of us knew who she was until somebody told us about it, until that video dropped. Beyond that, she had a niche group of people that she keeps milking and keeps leeching off of for her money.
And this is a great place to plug a book. So
it's a great place to plug the fact that we're a podcast. We're just riding out on people.
I mean, look, listen, because all you need is one good brunch, and then you're like, I should do a podcast because this is a good conversation. The Millionaire Next Door, and I am blanking on the name of the author, but it teaches the purpose of the book, the story behind the book. There's a group of people who used to work for, a man in particular, who worked for like a bank, and they wanted to understand what their wealthiest clients do so that they could devise a marketing plan that was really tailored to this high-end audience. So this guy followed and interviewed millionaires for years. And then he updated the study and did it again like 20 years later or something like that. And a lot of the things that we see and identify as success, monetary success, were the antithesis of what real millionaires do. So they didn't stay at home and watch TV all day. They woke up and they usually had a plan for their day, and they had time to do something free and fun for them, but it was like structured time. This was also before social media really was as prominent as it is now, but it was like work, get up, work out, meditate, whatever is like your self-starter for the day. They eat healthy. They go to the doctor regularly. They negotiate prices. They do not have the flashiest cars or the flashiest outfits. They live the Clark Howard lifestyle. And because of that, it's not necessarily that they are wealthy because they are spending so much money. They're wealthy because they are wise with the money they have. And so because of that, they are able to make that wealth last and then build upon it. And they use some very old school, simple tricks. Like you said, have a 401k, ride your car out until it falls apart. Now, I say that knowing good and well that I like to have a nicer, newer car, because I do not like to go to the mechanic and have to haggle with them and go back and forth. But there's things that like they value, and there are things that they recognize. I don't need to be flashy on that. I don't need to go on a vacation and stay in a 5-star resort every time I go on a vacation. I'm going to choose the one time of year when I ball out, and that's it. And people, to your point, people like Stormy make it seem like they're doing things like this and make it seem like they are living this wonderful lifestyle, but it's really not where true wealth is. And if we're being honest, there's so many other parts and pockets of life where we see something on stage and in front of us, and it's propped up to be the example that we should be pushing towards, but it's not always the case. Like marriage, not to say marriage is not something someone should strive to, but like the idea of like, this is what a perfect marriage looks like, and that you're always going to be happy. Or the idea of like, this is what a perfect Christian home looks like. If you're a Christian, like there's so many things that are just, this is what it looks like. And you really have to take time to understand what's important to you and what values are really being represented there versus just saying like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a millionaire because this is what it looks like. Or I'm going to have a perfect marriage just because this is what it looks like.
I'll say this. I think it was something you talked about a couple minutes ago, or in the prior segment. You hinted on it that people are bumping into different social classes, especially when we get to college. So at some point, I grew up in Miami-Dade. Majority of people, households were making around $40K a year. Majority of people I knew were poor. Like we were working poor. We were struggling like that, but we were not making that much money to ever begin with. So when you get these kids coming from these areas and now you feed them into a college system where they're bumping shoulders with people that are, basically like minutely wealthy. Some people that have like, they came from 2-parent homes. Their parents went to college. Their parents is a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant. Then you're jamming this person with somebody else that has a different lifestyle, different values, that they park at least in my job. At one point, I thought everybody had student loans. I was like, hey, everybody got student loans. And I'm doing a speech about student loans because it's one of those things we had to do a speech about. And I thought everybody would actually like it. But some people was like, I didn't really connect with that. Why? Because they didn't even have student loans. She's like, and one time I was buying a house. One guy says, oh yeah, my grandfather gave me an apartment complex. I don't know what to do with it. We're bumping into like social classes all the time, and we don't even notice it. And that's part of the problem too, because there was a time where everybody lives into these silos where, hey, poor working class people worked around poor working class people until you went to work with other poor working class people. So you never like thought otherwise. Then you have people going to the city. Now they're bumping into people at higher classes, and they're coming back home, said, this is how you're supposed to dress. This is how you're supposed to look. And then finally you get to the social media age where everybody's now looking at the most, basically wealthiest people around the world, travel around doing whatever it is. And now we're trying to mimic them. We're going to be broke for it because we're just trying to act like we're these trust fund babies. A lot of people, they already have it made. Some people, when they say their stories, it's like, yeah, I became a millionaire by age of 30. Yeah, my dad paid for my student loans and they also bought me a home. Like, what? Like, how do you skip that? Like, how do you skip that whole entire conversation? Like, and not tell us who it really is. So we're getting to a point where people are mixing these generations or these social classes, and that's going to create even more problems because the person that doesn't have a lot, in order to keep up, what do? We reach to the credit card. That's what we can do to keep up, to feel like we belong. So a person like Stormy, a person, like, hey, if you're a young lady right now looking at a person like Stormy, is like, this is how life is supposed to be, and my money is not exactly there. What do? I grab the credit card so I could look like I'm already there, because in my mind, I think the expectation is that I'm supposed to be there. I went to college. I got a really good paying job. I'm supposed to be like these other people or even better. So I don't know. I just wanted to say that because I just see that as a societal problem in which, especially for the Black community, is not good because we don't necessarily extrapolate the differences between social classes and where we start off from.
I mean, you mentioned it a while ago while we were talking on a podcast about how Black culture is not only toxic, but is expensive too. And just collectively. Man,
you made me seem like a bad person.
That's what you said. That's what you said. Read the transcript.
It was a topic.
That's what you said. But no, nonetheless, we are what you hinted from is we are a peacock culture. Right. So everything that we do, it has to be flashy, has to be the best. And when you look at Stormy, I'm about to call her Stormy Daniels. When you look at Coach Stormy and these other, influencers that are very flashy, they're very, fly to all these extravagant locations and countries. We want to flash our success. And I'm so happy that Jay brought up the book on The Millionaire Next Door. So it is a compilation of research done on the average millionaire in America. And I have the book and I haven't read it in years, but it was a long time ago. But I do recall the average millionaire is over the age of 50. Average millionaire. And we see this is a formula of marketing that I don't know if people are recognizing, especially CNBC and all these other media outlets. It's like how I made $200,000 in 5 months, how I retired at the age of 30. And for you, and you're being young, if you're under the age of 40 or 50, however, you're thinking like, if they did it, how can I do it? And all this craziness and just this anxiety that built into you. But understand the average millionaire, the average person is over the age of 50, millionaire status. And that's, subtracting their liabilities and their assets, like their actual money and their worth, it's over the age of 50. And that's just like the slow growth of building your wealth. Right. And I love the book because it does reminds you that how grounded people are, like what truly matters. You have shelter, you have transportation, you have food, and you are, supporting your family, you're supporting yourself, making sure your health is okay, all these other components. And it creates an outcome for you to be not only wealthy, but just wealthy in health, wealthy in family, and the structures that you're building and teaching your children and training your children on skill sets and things that they can be good at once they grow up. So those are the things that I love about Millionaire Next Door. But it's something to be said too, is that when we're constantly looking at social media and this dopamine that we have, hormones, then it's going to create this disconnection of what is real, because it's not real. And I have to remind people all the time, this is relationship goals, these, successful coaches, it's all fluff. It is smoking mirrors. Definitely smoking mirrors, because everything is finance. The life is finance. And they just want to lure you in to get you on board on this this fake life for you to come and just ruin your own things that you have going on. Jay Morrison, like we talk about, and this person was known in, you know, not only on social media, but the celebrity world too, because I do recall he was on the Breakfast Club, an interview, right? So these are media outlets and everything else that is pushing this bad, low vibration information to people thinking that it's real and it's not. So I do push and encourage people to read Millionaires Next Door because it's realistic. It's ground information that to understand that wealth is slow, it's boring, but in the meantime, you're having fun. In the meantime, you're saving towards your future and the future of your family. So that's one of the things I do love about that book.
I'd say the words of the day are discern and learn. So discern what is the reality, what's really going on versus what's been photoshopped and canvassed to look like something ideal, and then learn and better yet, know what your values are, but then learn how to achieve the real goals that you want in life. And what does real success look like to you? So discern and learn. And then we mentioned this. So there was this seafood truck during FinCon, and they knew what they were doing, frying up some seafood. I don't know. And every day they kept giving me a lot more food than I ordered. And I was trying to tell them I didn't order all of this. But they just did not always do that. So I always had a lot of food. I mean, entire trays that I was just giving away. And at one point, Alainta and I were just sitting there talking. It was like a group of people started growing together. It could have been because I was giving away trays of food, but it also was because we were having a good conversation. And one of the things that came up was comparison is the thief of joy. And the idea that you're looking, it's a safe space at FinCon because we know we're all teaching the same thing, but we aren't doing it from the perspective of, ooh, how dare you have more followers than me, or how dare you be successful. It's just a safe space to say, this is how I grew. This is what I'm doing. This is my niche. And this is how I can support you. And it's not a comparison to hurt. It's a comparison to really say, as a group, like, let's elevate together. But when you see, to your point, when you see what's on social media, when you see what's distributed outside of social media and like print media or more traditional forms, it does put out this idea that you have to achieve whatever is going on in front of you. And that's why I say it's important to, one, not fall victim to that, but discern and learn. And BBL apparently.
And Lawrence over here just chatting up.
Hey, that's what's going on. I don't know. That's what's going on in society. But I think this is a great cutoff point for this episode, because the whole entire point of this is to really get you to start thinking about yourself in a more holistic way and really doing that, what they now term shadow work, the real true work of just selling it to yourself, writing down your own goals, your own aspiration, and living within your own purpose. A lot of people don't really know what their purpose is, so they're following other people, or they're copying and pasting. It's like that kid in classroom. Like, they didn't do any of the reading, they didn't do any of the studying all year, but they just look over that person and like, name, their name, and they copy their name right there as well. It's like, I'm copying everything off this piece of paper, but you can't be this other person. Whoever Coach Stormy is, hey, more power to her for doing whatever she wants to do and living the life that she wants. That's cool on her. I'm not the auditor on her. I'm not the arbiter. I'm not her God. So at the end of the day, she could do whatever she wants with her time, her money, and her instinctual skills. But it's up to you to decide for yourself, what do you want to do? Do you just want to follow people all day long? Or do you want to actually start to build, grow, and develop a certain identity for yourself, or even a certain life for yourself that could really kind of help you live well into your late years? I've seen a lot of people with no money at all be the very happiest people on earth. I've traveled the world. I've seen it with my own eyes. I'm like, yo, you live in a box. Literal box. You can't be this happy. Smile, the biggest smile you ever seen in your world. I've seen this young girl, because I used to do some mission trips in Haiti in the past. And this young girl who had like her teeth were messed up, jacked up. Like, hey, you're like 4 years old, but you need to go see a dentist ASAP. But she was smiling all the time. She had so much fun. And she was like, yo, come see where I stay at. Come see where I stay at. I'm like, we see her spot, but she wanted us to go see the stream next to her house. Literally just the stream. And she was just the happiest girl to just show us that, hey, next to her home, they had this stream that runs down, the water just runs. And I can't tell you, I can't bottle that. Literally, I cannot do it. And I think that's what people are missing in their life, because we're always trying to search for something else, and for some reason, especially in America, it's never enough. But I find that there's other people living outside the bubble that find it to just be just everything that they ever wanted. So don't miss your entire life chasing for the big car, the big house, the fancy whatever, or the million followers on social media, because at the end of the day, it comes down to the monsters you have to face in your own life and how you actually deal with them, and even the type of life that in the end you want to rest in peace. So if you ain't resting in no peace, then what's the point?
Thank you for listening to the Financial Griot podcast, powered by the Wealth Builders Collective.